Let me just resume this. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so there's that link I've shared. It contains the front end to our smart contract. So basically today what we're going to do is to walk through that particular code and be able to understand what's going on under the hood, okay? So basically the concept on how we can connect our smart contract to a front end. So here's what we're going to do today, day 4. We're going to cover smart contract front end. The front end is developed, is a web front end. So it's just a simple, basic web front end because I wanted everyone to sort of understand. I didn't want to use these frameworks we know of the likes of React, Angular, and all that, because that would complicate our learning process. So that's why I chose to go with a simple web front end. Now, just a reminder, let's continue ideating on our demo project ideas, because at the end of this training, you'll be required to work on a demo project and sort of submit it. There's a link I'll be sharing tomorrow with us. Okay. I'll be sharing a link with us tomorrow, the submission link. That is where you're supposed to submit your project. Awesome. So where you're supposed to submit your project, and I hope you guys are going to work on them as soon as possible. Maybe now after you submit your project will be reviewed, then you'll be sent, if you're going to be certified, you're going to be sent a link, okay, to your certificate. And like I said, it is going to be an NFT certificate. So there's going to be graphic. Maybe I can just show you guys an example with my certificate. Let me just, let me hope this is going to work really fast. Maybe as that, okay. Okay. So, awesome. So let me hope these happens quite quick. Okay, maybe you guys can follow that link. I think that should display. That should be displayed. That should be able to display it. If you don't, I'll just I'll sort of send another link. So either of those two should be able. You should be able to view it from either of those two links. Well, back to my presentation. So we're going to basically walk through the code, the front-end code. So I guess I'll reshare my screen. I'll have to reshare my screen. So, okay. Okay. So for now, I'll just close all those tabs. I hope you can see that, so that I just opened it in VS Code. So from here, as you can see, it is basically a very simple web interface. basically having the CSS directory, JS directory, and the HTML files following. Now, you know what is in the CSS directory, basically the CSS files. I've done this with Bootstrap and the JavaScript. So we basically have the Bootstrap JavaScript file. Then we have these 3 files that we basically are going to talk about. Now, let's begin with the config file. And I hope the font is is big enough for us all to see. Now, the config file basically contains the configuration data or information we need in order to connect to the blockchain network. Now, there's some constants right there. The contract name, that is basically the wallet ID where we deployed our contract yesterday, our smart contract yesterday. And as you can see, it is we deployed that into do.a cohort2.testnet account. Then our app name is Sanctuary Academy Task Manager, or you can give it anything you like. Then there's a function right there. This function is basically accepting it is accepting a parameter which is going to sort of determine the kind of data that is going to be returned back to you based on the network you're doing this on. So if you're doing this on production, the mainnet information or the mainnet network details is going to be returned. And in this case, it's going to be an object with all these details, as you can see right there. Okay. Let me just draw your attention to this particular attribute, or that is the key store attribute. Now, the key, we have different ways you can achieve sort of where you need to store your keys, the keys that will be used to accept or rather sign transactions within your app. Now, in this case, we've chosen browser local storage key store. In this case, every wallet that is going to be linked to our app is going to store that particular access key that is going to be created on a local storage within the browser. I really hope that is clear. Now, you realize that that line basically resembles whatever is down here. Line 11 is equivalent to line 21. Now, the other methods to achieve the same purpose would be if you are in a server environment, okay, like in a Node.js or whatever framework you're using for your backend. As long as it's a Node environment, you can sort of provide a path to your credentials file, the one I showed us some times back. That is the JSON file that is created while logging in via your terminal. So you can choose to go that way, or you can choose to basically create these while the app loads. There's a way also that can be achieved. Now, for today, we're basically going with that. So I said if you're in production or mainnet, this is the data that is going to be returned. If you're developing for test purposes, then we're going to use the testnet network. And in that case, that object, whatever I've just highlighted, will be returned. So you realize in this case, we're using the testnet blockchain or the testnet network. But the first object in this switch statement returns the mainnet network details. So that is basically what the function is doing. It's basically a configuration function. Now, let us come to this utils.js file. Now, this is where most of the functions that involves interfacing our front end and the blockchain is going to happen, or every other function is going to take place right here. Now, the first line is basically invoking the function, the getConfig function from our config.js file. And in that case, you are specifying that we are working with a testnet, with a testnet network. So we are doing this for development. And whatever object that is going to be returned is stored in near config variable. Then there's this JavaScript function here. Now, for JavaScript developers, I know you already know what is happening under the hood. But those of us who may not be familiar with this function is we basically declaring this function, and then it is going to be executed immediately. This file is sort of loaded, okay? So we don't have to define it somewhere, then go and invoke it somewhere else. All that happens immediately. And it is an asynchronous function. So inside here, maybe before I proceed, guys, you realize if you've gone through the documentation, the near documentation or the near API.js documentation, you realize that there's an SDK we need to pull, or a library we need to pull before we proceed. And that is near API.js. Now, in this case, since I just decided to work with a simple web frontend, we're not going to use Node modules. So there's a CDN of that particular library that we're using. And I'll just head on to the index.ts file down here, line 171. This is the CDN to the near API.js file, okay? So that is how we are pulling it for the purpose of our project. And then we have these other files linked down there. So really take keen note of these. If you've cloned that project within your local machine, then maybe you can take a look at that. You can take a look at a closer. Okay, Christopher, you can see an expiration date. Well, near expects you after being certified that your mainnet account is going to be active. As a developer, what they basically are trying to say is you ought to have pushed a smart contract that is basically doing something in the community, or people interacting with it in a way, okay? So sort of a solution you've pushed to your mainnet account so that it is not just active. Sorry, it is not just dormant, okay? So it should be active in a way for that certificate, for your certificate to continue being active. Otherwise, after the stipulated duration is gone and it is still inactive, then it will expire. But if your account is going to be active, well and good. Your certificate will not expire at that stipulated time. So that is basically what it means. So right here, please note the CDN. Then I'll just head back to our utils.js file. So in line 6, okay, line 6 is basically initializing connection to the testnet network, or the near testnet. So there's this object. This particular object comes from the near API.js library that we've just pulled from the CDN network. So we are using it and we're invoking the connect method that is in it, and we are passing in the configuration that we've just defined up here. So that returns the near object. And in this case, the near object, we are availing the near object within the window, the window object of our, the window object of this particular browser. So you realize that we are passing it as an argument down here. So this argument is basically being passed inside this function. And that's why we are able to do all these operations right here. Now, by simply attaching it to the window object, we'll be able to use it outside this function. I don't know if I confused someone, but that is basically what it means. So we're getting the near object by running this particular line of code. Then after that, we also need to initialize our wallet based on the account that is going to be attached to this particular app. So to achieve that, we're still going to use the near API object that is pulled in from the library, the near API.js library. Then by invoking the wallet connection method on it and passing the near object, that creates a wallet connection or returns a wallet connection object, which we are attaching to the window object as well, so that we're able to use it outside this function or outside the scope of this particular file. Then the window.account, we're also creating a window.account object. And this is basically giving us the details about the currently signed in wallet or the currently signed in user, the wallet details that have been linked to this particular wallet connection. So by running wallet connection with account, that is basically what we are getting back. Now, since we are going to interact with our contract, our smart contract, sorry, we need to also initialize that bit. Usually, if we're just going to, send tokens, there are some functions actually you can perform up to this point, up to line 11. So you can basically sign in, log in, send tokens, and such operations. Those can be done. But now that we're going to work with our, or rather interact with the smart contract we deployed, we need to sort of initialize that bit. And that is achieved by using doing from line 14. It's basically a function all the way to line 30. So I'll just take us through that. So near API.contract is going to initialize our contract. And to do that, there is information that we need to pass as parameters. One of it is the account object we just created up here. Okay. So this is basically the account that is going to sign in the details. So that is what we have veiled down here. The contract name is basically the smart contract that we are linking with, or we are linking to, okay? Where the wallet address where we deployed our smart contract. That is the second argument. Then the third argument is an object that requires you to provide the view method within your smart contract and change methods within your smart contract. And like I said, view methods, they basically return information or retrieve data from the blockchain. So as long as your method has nothing to do with the, say, signing of transactions, it basically needs data, like, right? It returns back data to you. So that's a view method. But if it involves wallet address, sort of, we need signer address, we need to update something on blockchain. Those are change methods because they need more than just a gas fee. In that case, they may impact the storage of the storage in the blockchain, and so you may need to, provide attach some deposit while performing such transactions. Now, in this case, I really didn't make it sort of complex, but all our methods in this case are change methods because in one way or the other, we are using the wallet address, okay? What we are calling in our smart contract, the signer ID, okay? So that is what made all these functions change methods. So you realize that these are the functions we had in our smart contract. I've just listed them right there. Then that should be the fourth parameter of that function is account or the sender. So this is basically the same object that we provided up here. Now, yeah, that is the initialization bit of it. Then from there, we basically define functions that we want or define how we want to interact with our smart contract now, right? So the first function we are having here is a login function. And it is basically testing if the user is either logged in or not. Now that will be achieved by using the wallet connection object that we created up here and calling a function request is signed in function from that particular object. Now, this function returns either true or false based on whether the user is signed in or not, or a wallet is linked to that app or not. Okay, so this is going to return a Boolean object, a Boolean value. The second function is get account. Now, get account is basically going to return the account address or the wallet address that has been signed in with. Okay, the wallet address that has been linked to this app. The user comes in and logs in, and after logging in, they link their wallet to this particular app. So if we call get account, then using the wallet connection object we just created and invoking the get account ID object of that particular object, of the wallet connection object, we should be able to get that particular wallet address that's signed into our app. Then these other, the following method is login. So login is basically going to link a wallet address to our app. And you guys are going to see how these things are going to happen as I run it, okay? So this is basically going to link a wallet address to our app. So login, we first of all are going to check if the user is logged in or not. That is why we have the if condition right here. So if this returns false, then we negate that and we make it true. I hope you guys can see that. Then we are using the wallet connection object, invoking the request sign-in method and passing in the contract name, basically the wallet address where we deployed our contract yesterday, and an optional argument, which is the app name. I just thought of including that right there, just to make things look good. But you can choose to go with contract name because that is the only parameter that is required. Yeah, then from there, if all goes well, you'll have signed in to our app using your wallet address. Then from there, you can log out. Now log out basically unlinks your wallet address from our app. Now, when you sign into our app, you're basically going to create an access key that you're going to use to sign transactions within our app. When you log out, you're basically trying to do what? To delete that key. Okay, sort of unlinking that key to your wallet address so that if anyone comes later and uses that particular key to sign transactions on your behalf, it will be invalid. So that is basically what the logout function is trying to do in this case. So first of all, we definitely checking if you're logged in. And if you are logged in, then we sign you out. If you're not logged in, then we just display this alert message that you're already logged out. Okay. Then I hope you're familiar with that, basically reloading the web page. And now here are our smart contract methods and how we are invoking them. So I'd really draw your attention to this bit because this is how your web front end is going to invoke your smart contract functions, right? I hope you really get that straight. Now, our first function in our smart contract was new task. And in that case, we were basically creating a new task, right? So I chose to sort of follow that or follow that naming convention so that there be some familiarity, some sort of familiarity with between our front end and the blockchain bit of it. So the function is a new task. It is an asynchronous function, and we're accepting a title as a parameter or an argument. And you're first checking if you're logged in, because you can't invoke any of our smart contract function if you're not logged in. So you first check if you're logged in. If you are, then we call the contract object. I hope you guys can remember where we got that particular object right here. So this is where we declared it and sort of initialized it. So by calling this method, it returned an object which we stored right there. So that is the object we are basically trying to use to invoke our new task method. Now, these this method is in our smart contract. It is not, and we specified it up here. Okay. So right within this array, we basically provided their names. Sorry, we basically provided their names. Then down here, we're now invoking them. Now, for us to pass, because new task in our smart contract requires a title parameter to be provided, right? Now, we can't just come here. Maybe I can delete this. We can't just come here and say, okay, we are passing in title. No, that will fail. We need to sort of follow the convention we are using in our terminal. And in this case, that's why we have this sort of a JSON object. And in that object, we are saying that since our method needs a title parameter, so we provide that title, and we are giving it a value of title. I don't know if you guys are seeing something. It's only that there's sort of the redundancy in that case, but I'm basically providing this title right there as a JSON object. Maybe to explain this, I would come here and say, this would be our first task. So in this case, this is the parameter that our new task method in our smart contract expects. And we are giving it a value of first task, okay? Now, in this case, instead of us hard coding this within the code, we are accepting a parameter now from the function that is within our JavaScript file. We are accepting this parameter and we are saying, okay, instead of us hard coding that, let's pass in this parameter right there. And if you've been a JavaScript developer for some time, you realize that JavaScript allows us to avoid this sort of redundancy. So instead of doing title, you can basically do away with the one and use just that one. So this will basically, behind the hood or under the hood, this will basically do whatever we did earlier, sort of specifying that this is the attribute and this is the value to that particular, sorry, this is the key and this is the value to that particular attribute. Yeah. So that is what is happening right there. I really hope that is home. And I really hope I never confused anyone. So that is what is happening right there. And this is going to send a promise. So in this case, we need to wait for the response, right? That's why we are using that particular keyword right there. So we are wait for that response and we assign it to the response variable. Now, once we get that response, we can do with it whatever we wish to. So in this case, we are returning it. And if in any case, anything went wrong, then we're simply returning null. We also had a get task method from our smart contract, what we called the show task. And in that case, it required the task ID for you to be able to accomplish that, right? So in this case, we obviously checking if you're logged in. And if you are, then from the contract object, we're invoking our smart contract function, in this case, show task, and we are passing in the task ID. I hope you really now, I mean, you're able to tell what's going on right here from what I just explained somewhere here. Yeah. So I hope you can be able to sort of grasp what is going on with that line of code. Now, if you're not logged in, we're basically going to return null. Yeah. Then we have get all tasks. And in this case, we are also invoking the show all tasks method of our smart contract that we deployed. And in that case, we expect an array of tasks, right? So in this case, we await for the response and we return. And if you sort of never logged in, then we're simply returning an empty array. Then start task is basically going to change the status of our task from pending to active. So in this case, we are invoking the start task method in our smart contract we deployed, and we are passing in the task ID to that as the argument required. Same to the complete task. So guys, I really hope you can see how we're invoking the functions. First of all, you have to specify, or rather provide their names up here in this array under the change methods key within this object. Now, after listing the names here, that is when you can be able to invoke them on the contract object that we initialized up there. Now, if you're going to miss any method name in this array, so you may decide that you're not going to list it in here, and yet you expect to call it within these, or rather to use it the way we are calling it right here. Now that will raise an error because you never specified it within the, as a change, either change method or a view method. So you'll be confusing the contract method that we just initialized up there. Now the last method here is basically remove task, and this is going to basically remove a task from our list of tasks. And in this case, we also need to provide the task ID that we want to remove. So that will return to us a response, and then you're going to return, basically return that response. And if nothing happened, or sort of it was unsuccessful, we just return null. So up to that point, I hope we are really clear on how to invoke our smart contract methods from our front end, okay? And that is basically how we link our front end to a smart contract. So up to that point, we should be done with our app. Now, the rest, or the other bit, what is in the index.ts, the index.js file is basically, now showing things in the interface and sort of making things move here and there. So right here, we simply checking if you're authenticated. If you're not, we log you in. So you realize we are calling the login method that we defined in our util.js file. Then, so this is the operation that is going to occur if you're not logged in. But if you're logged in, then these, you're going to execute this bit of this if function, if statement. Okay. So we're basically calling those functions we defined in the utils file. So I've shared a link to this our project. I've actually hosted this in a GitHub repository. So this bit, I believe you guys can just go through that with time. Then you're going to understand what's happening under the hood. So for now, I'm just going to run this. So I'm going to open this using my live server. And I guess I'll have to reshare this again. Someone has a question? Yeah, the green writing is basically code documentation, sort of comment, okay? Telling you what's happening here and there. So that is what the green writings imply. So I'm just going to share these. Great. So here we are. So this is the interface of our app. Okay. So this is the interface of our app. I'll just log out first so that we begin from scratch. Okay. And give it a hard reload. Awesome. So we are there. So the very first time you visit this particular application, it will request you to log in. In other words, you have to log in to proceed. Okay. So by clicking this button, we are basically invoking the login function I just talked about. So I'll just click that. Let's see what's happening. you realize it has redirected me to my testnet wallet. Okay. And in this case, I have a bunch of testnet wallets right here, like I showed you the other day, guys. So I'm simply going to choose any for this particular demo. So I'll go with John W3. I'll go with John W3. Then you realize here it's saying that the contract deployed in this wallet address to do.sa cohort 2.testnet is requesting access to your wallet, right? The network fee allowance that it is going to be given is 0.25 near. And yeah, so you can just go ahead and connect. So you click on connect. That should be able to link our app to your wallet address. Awesome. Once that happens, you realize the interface has changed and we are now directed right here. Now, as at now, it is showing us the wallet that has signed in this case, John W3.testnet. And I showed you guys how we get this particular information by calling get account ID from the wallet connection object, right? So in this case, we still have no task that can be displayed right here. So I'm basically going to add a new task. Today, I want you guys to help me. Maybe you can just send something in the chat that I should add right here so that you guys may say that I'm cooking all these. So someone can just send something in the chat, or I'll just go ahead and copy this, the very last chat, right? So that is the very last chat that was sent. So I'll just go ahead and click add. Now, once you click add, you realize there's some sort of delay before it shows, right? If you're keen, there was some sort of delay before it showed down here. Now, the delay is due to the asynchronous functionality that we implemented, because it is first of all sending the request to the blockchain and having our smart contract do the operation before sending back the feedback. Now, that duration of time is what is reflecting in the delay in our front end. And you'll realize that as you proceed, even with the other task, like if say I went ahead and clicked the start button. So in this case, I'm going to start this particular task. Okay, so I'm simply trying to change its state from pending to active. There's still going to be that sort of delay. And like I said, it is caused by the time taken to send that request to the smart contract, and the smart contract having to do its operation and returning back the response. So there's that delay. Okay, before you can see, yeah, before we can have that reflect in our active tab. So realize it has been moved from pending tab to the active tab. Okay. Now we can go ahead as well and add another task right here. What should we call this? Cohort 2, day 4 training. So I'll go ahead and add that as well. There's going to be that bit of delay. And then it will, oh, it is still delay, okay. And then it will show, right? So that just showed right here. So the other functionality we implemented was to complete the task. So, okay, you began the task and you've done it, and you're done with that particular task. So you need to change its status. So in this case, you just hit on the complete button. The complete button is going to invoke the complete task of our smart contract method, okay? And that with that, it's basically going to change its status. And then send us back the response. So in this case, nothing is in our active tab. But if we go to the complete tab, we find it right there. Our pending tab still has the one we added earlier. So here is the task. Here are the list of tasks we've completed. Now, in this case, let's say you're done with this and you just want to remove it altogether from the collection of your tasks. So you can simply click on the delete button. That is also going to take some sort of a delay before it can reflect. And boom, awesome. So nothing is in the active or complete tab, but we have one task pending. So guys, that is basically how our app operates. If you're done doing your things within your within the app, you can choose to log out. So I just clicked on the log out button and that simply logged us out. Now, there's an account I was using to test all these. Maybe you can just link to that. I called it ingita.testnet. So by connecting to that particular wallet address, it should be able to retrieve all the tasks that belongs to this particular wallet address. So don't worry with the delays. Yeah. So here are the tasks under this wallet address. So we have all these pending tasks. We have all these active tasks, and we have all these completed tasks. Okay. That is basically how our app is operating. And that is basically how we do the front end to a smart contract that we've deployed on the NIA blockchain. Now, are there any questions up to there? Okay, when creating the demo smart contract, do we have to create a front end for it? It's not a must, but if you feel like doing it, then you can go ahead, Christopher. It's not really a requirement. What is required of you while doing your demo project is the smart contract bit of it. You must do a smart contract. Okay, so that one is a must. Do a smart contract, write tests to your smart contract, deploy it, and be able to interact with it from command line from your terminal, or for those in Windows, from CMD. In other words, after deploying it, anyone, whether front-end or your terminal, should be able to interact with your smart contract. So that is basically what is needed. Okay, so it's not a must that you connect it to a front end. I just decided to go this far because in our previous trainings, we've had people asking how they can sort of connect their smart contract with a web front end. So that's why I decided to feature this in this particular training this time around. Is there any other question? Any other question from anyone? Or anywhere you need clarity? Yeah. Did you guys understand everything that was shown in the code, sort of? I hope you got everything. So that is basically what we've been working on since Monday, right? This is what we've been working on since Monday. And if I can share these, and this is basically the code to that. Okay, so that is basically the code. Now I've shared a GitHub repository to this code. So just in case you missed anything, you can always get back there and just look through the whole project and see how things are connected. I'll do some documentations to it because for now I just did it for the demo for the purpose of this class. So you may really need some sort of much more documentation in order to be able to figure out how things are linked or connected in that project. So I'll just do that, then update it in the repository. But if you've been in the class today, you should be able to do that. So you can just go ahead and clone it from your end and figure out how all that is being achieved. Is there documentation to use React View etc? Must every address interact with a smart contract? Okay, wait. Must every address interacting with a smart contract be a server account on that testnet wallet? No. It must not be a sub account. I think that is the right answer to that. You can deploy your smart contract as long as it's a wallet address. Okay, it could be the main wallet address or a sub wallet address or a sub wallet address. It doesn't matter as long as it's a wallet address. That is what you're going to use. Okay. When is the deadline for the project? Now, usually it is a month. Okay. So we give it a maximum of a month. So if you can do your project within a month, in this case, your month began on Monday when we began this particular training. So you can count like 3 weeks from this week. That will be the end of your month. So you can always ensure that before or within that duration, you should be done with your project. Okay. Okay, Paul, just allow me to respond to this other question, then I'll give you the chance. So someone asked if there's a documentation for React, Vue.js and all that. Now, apparently, if you're really keen on the near documentation, you'll find some sort of projects done with React. So React is by default the front-end framework that is going to be used. However, from what I've just showed you right here, you should be able to implement that in other frameworks, the likes of Vue.js, Angular, and all that. So you should be able, because the concept is just the same, okay? Once you can implement it in React, it can be done in other frameworks comfortably. So you should not worry about that. So I'll give, so Timothy, Paul, you can just go ahead and unmute and talk.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
So you can hear me?
Yeah, I can get you.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much. Okay, in as much as it looks so much, my worry is for the backend. I don't have like a problem with JavaScript or the frameworks. So like, can one use both Angular frontend and backend Rust?
Sorry, come up again. I didn't get the question right.
Okay, okay, it looks overwhelming.
Okay.
But it's okay. I mean, I don't have the problem with the frameworks. So my worry is it okay? Or can one apply front end Angular then back end at Rust?
Yeah, there's no problem. You can do your front end with Angular or whatever framework you're comfortable with. Then the blockchain bit of it, you utilize Rust to write all that, as long as you're comfortable with Rust.
So in this case, I'm supposed to come up with APIs nikitumia Rust, so that does it connect to Angular?
No. You see how we've invoked these methods right here. Maybe I should show this again. Utils. Great. So you see the steps we followed to do the initialization. So basically to connect to blockchain, what I've just highlighted. So this basically connects us to the blockchain network. All right. So once you've established this in your front end and you've listed the names of all the methods you want to invoke in your smart contract, then you should comfortably go ahead and invoke them as you've done down here. All that.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's no need of sort of HTTP API endpoints that, as the case with Web2. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have that here. So to achieve, or rather to link your back end, in this case blockchain, to your front end, this is all you have to do.
Okay. Yeah. But then another thing.
Yeah.
So project lazima iko like the stipulated 1 for perfectionists like us.
1
like lazima iko exactly 1 month for people who are perfectionists.
Okay, it's not a must. If you're going to, you feel you're going to delay, then okay. The point is, you guys should not take the longest. Okay, at least don't take too much time in this. You need to be certified. You already need, I mean, you need to start working on projects. Okay, I understand there are some people within, there are some people in this training who are just they already have work. In other words, work is already waiting for them. So they're just here for the due diligence to complete and get started. So you shouldn't take long.
Then another thing I wanted to ask, like nimeona the Sankore, unaona ukiclick the link ulikuwa umetuma, I think it's on Monday ama Tuesday kwa Notion.
Yeah.
Then inasema Sankore Academy.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'll be using to study, and that's when as a like this documentation ya Frontend, these are what's smart contracts, everything nizo.
Yeah, you'll find everything right there. Maybe I can just share that again. You'll find all the resources at this point.
Nini imeandikwa Sankore 2.2 Academy, then the courses zikalistiwa 3. Then there's pre-work, then there's near resources. Hapo sasa ndo ndapata the courses. Then I choose the path for near certified developer. That.
Well, the pre-work is basically what you need to know about blockchain. So it's sort of theoretical, okay? Giving you an overview of what blockchain is and what's happening in blockchain or with blockchain technology. What are decentralized application? What is Web3 and all that? Now, and I choose your path category. We're going to have now the courses we've listed up there. So in this case, we just have one course featured so far. That is the near certified developer course. If you follow that link, or you click on it, it is going to direct you to a page that is basically talking about near certified developer and the resources that has been availed to you and what is expected of you. Okay. So all that is what has been listed there. Then at the end, there's a boot camp. There's a boot camp section, and under it we have beginner to-do list. So basically, this project we've been working on is going to be updated at that section, and you'll be able to follow up with that as well, even after this particular training. So you're going to be able to find all these resources under that particular section.
So I just follow a table of contents, nini, everything, add up boot camp, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Welcome, Paul. Oh, we just had we have the same name. Okay. Thank you. Okay, guys. Is there any other person with any other question? Yes, Obi is asking, we need a documentation to know the details connecting to the front end. Okay. Maybe I can, Obi, do you have the link I just shared in the chat? If you have that link, then you should be able to get to that particular information you're requesting. And a front end, now I don't know if you can see this. Let me just share. So Obi, the link I just shared in the chat, if you follow it and yeah, this is where you land in your first visit. Then you click on near certified developer. Then if you scroll down or even in the table of content, you click on framework, front-end development, sorry. There's all the links you need to develop a front-end to your smart contract right there. Okay. Kobe, I really hope I'm addressing your issue. Maybe if you can confirm. So all the links you need are there. You can just click on any and you'll be redirected to the right page. Okay. Yes. Oh, I'm not sharing with everyone. Oh, sorry. Sorry for that. Okay. Yeah, that is the link. I'm really sorry, guys. I thought I shared it with everyone. So that is the link. That is the link to Sankore courses on Notion. So you can basically click on that. There's going to be a front end section and the NCD course. And you'll find all the resources that you can use in order to realize your front end or a front end to your smart contract over there. Awesome. So, yeah, is there any other question? Any issue you guys may want to address? I hope there's okay, I hope there's none. Okay, Paul, maybe you can go ahead.
What's the easiest way of reaching you?
The easiest way should be Telegram or WhatsApp.
Okay, we don't have this WhatsApp group. Okay, the only group you create on your Telegram. Okay.
Are you on Telegram dev
Yeah,
group? Yeah.
yeah. That's
Okay.
still okay.
Yeah, you can still
Okay.
reach me out there or WhatsApp or even
Okay.
on LinkedIn. Yeah, you can also reach me at in LinkedIn.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. So guys, just before we conclude, or we call it a night, tomorrow is going to be our last day of this particular training, and we will be covering, we're going to deploy our front end on Firebase so that we have it online, so anybody can access it, and you guys will be able to interact with it at that point, right? So tomorrow we'll basically be seeing how to achieve that. You've done your smart contract, you've done your front end. Your smart contract is already on blockchain, but then your front end is still within your local machine. So tomorrow we'll basically be pushing it out and hosting it on an online server so that everyone can interact with it. Then tomorrow I'll also be sharing with us the submission link where you need to submit your demo project so that anytime you're done, you can immediately push it right there. Then if you've not yet submitted your details, your enrollment details, please go ahead and do so. I don't know if I'm going to get this right here. Will I be able to do this? Let me just get the link, guys, then I'll be sharing that with you. Okay. So I'm just getting this link and sharing it with us. Okay. So if you've not yet submitted your enrollment details, please follow that link. And we'll be having your details and sort of be able to use that. Okay. So if there's no question, I guess we'll call it a meeting.